And welcome into the Wednesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this very rainy Wednesday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. It's nasty out there, folks. So be careful. There's a lot of people out there. They're in cars. It's very wet. It's raining hard, and there was some ambulances and fire trucks absolutely cutting out to go somewhere. So hope everybody's all right.
Yes, for sure. It is gross out there. Saw a nice combination on the way in here, Joe. People going entirely too fast and entirely too slow. Nice combination of that on the way down here.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you're going 70 miles an hour on a back road in the rain. That'll work out well. Or, wow, you're going 15 miles an hour on the interstate. Probably need to speed up a little bit there, boss.
Yeah, you're gonna probably see both
in
a situation like this. I had someone who had their left turn signal on, and they're in the straight lane to the right of me.
Yeah.
And they're in front of me, and I'm like, okay, so, and then finally at the last minute, as I'm like, okay, I guess they just accidentally have their signal on. Nope, get in my way. Okay. I guess I had the signal on, but so yeah. Good times.
Good stuff. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Pretty accurate description, I would say, to start on the way in. Some ponding out there, so just give yourself a few extra minutes.
Don't hydroplane.
Yes, do not hydroplane. That is your safety minute, brought to you by Robbie Stanley here on the program.
There you go.
Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us later in the program. Got a lot of things on the Titans front to get into with him. We are now less than a week away from the NFL trading deadline, and we will touch on some of that with Kuharsky as well a little bit later in the program, so looking forward to that. We will get into the Nashville Predators later in the program. They lose last night to Tampa Bay, and the offense, pretty rough through 11 games. So what does that mean moving forward? We will get into that a little bit later in the show. Joe, I want to start on the NFL front and get your thoughts on the AFC. So you'll be happy to know Titans are tied with the New York Jets for last place in the AFC. So when I start talking about playoff teams here in a minute, you can forget those two. But through 8 weeks here, you got the Colts at 7-1 with the best record. Titans have seen them twice already. The Patriots are at number 2 right now, who the Titans have seen. Denver at number 3, Pittsburgh at 4, Buffalo 5, the Chargers at 6, and the Kansas City Chiefs at number 7. Those are your 7 playoff teams at the moment in the AFC. Now, Jacksonville's right there. Houston at 3 and 4 is number 9 in the conference right now. So, an AFC that has been pretty deep over the last few years is not really all that deep by the numbers right now. We'll see if that changes as the season goes on. And if, Lamar Jackson gets healthy and the Ravens go on the run, and all those things. So we'll see how this changes. But Colts, Patriots, Broncos, Steelers, Bills, Chargers, Chiefs, your 7 playoff teams in the AFC at the moment. What do you make of what we're seeing in the AFC right now, how the picture is shaping up and how it could change as it moves forward here? As we know, you're still you're sticking with the Ravens to get out there and win the Super Bowl.
I am sticking with the Ravens. But I need to see, the everything coming together real soon. Obviously, I mean, first of all, the math tells you they have to go on a tear. Beating the Bears, though, with Huntley at quarterback, when the Bears were playing pretty well, was a very good step forward. But I think the story of the AFC is the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts are, I know that friend of the show, James Boyd, I know, on our Slack channels, he's working on some stuff. Their offense is historically good right now. Their offense is being compared to the great offenses. We're throwing around, the greatest show on turf, and by the numbers, that's what we're talking about. Now, are they really that good? I mean, they have one great player, and then they have a guy who's obviously playing really well at quarterback and a lot of good receivers. But at this point, I think they're the story. And if they're not the story, then I think the Patriots are the story. I still have my doubts that the Patriots are going to, beat the Bills and win the AFC East. but at the same time, they already have one in their building, right?
Yep.
So I think it's, those two have made it fun. I mean, it's weird to think about, oh, how cute, the Colts and Patriots are good,
Yeah.
but they've kind of made it fun, and I think the Chargers have kind of receded a little bit. And yet if you tell me that Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens are going to be the three teams that ultimately end up being the best three, I wouldn't bat an eyelash right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City feels like they're coming on here. They've won 3 in a row. They're 5-3. Rashee Rice is back in the fold there, and it looks like he's made a big difference in their offense. So, look, we know if they get things rolling and figure things out, they're going to be tough to deal with. Now, I will say you're already dealing with 3 losses there, and one of the things, not the only thing, but one of the things that has made their run so impressive here is like most of their playoff games have come at home. Like they just spend a whole lot of time at Arrowhead because they're so good. So are they going to be in a spot at the end of the year where they're hosting playoff games all the way through again? Or are they going to have to go win maybe a couple of rounds on the road by the time the playoffs come around? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, right now, they're not winning their own division. The Denver Broncos are at 6-2. And I don't know, Joe. Like I watch the Broncos play, and sometimes I think they're really good, and sometimes I think, man, they're really lucky to be 6-2. I mean, probably should have lost to the Titans in week 1. So I don't really know what to make of the Broncos as of yet. I know they've got a good defense. Their offense has been really hit or miss to me so far this year, but they're going to be in the mix. The Chargers have had all these injuries, particularly on their offensive line. They're 5-3. They're in the mix right now. I don't know that I consider them like a threat to win the AFC. Having said that, they're getting ready to go to 6-3 because they're playing the Titans this week. So they're going to be right there in the mix in the division as they move forward here too. So that division in particular, the AFC West, is going to be pretty interesting to see, outside of the Raiders, what happens moving forward here.
I like how I believe that's the first mention of the Titans opponent this week, and I honestly didn't even. I was like, "Is that? Oh yeah, they have a game, and
they play.
They play who are they going to lose to? The Chargers are going to beat them this week. Okay, good to know. Yeah.
Home game.
Yep.
Yeah,
and be a lot of people in the stands, I'm sure.
See, that's one of those games where
Chargers don't have any fans. And
yeah, that might be like the easy in this Sunday, folks. But yeah. It's too bad with the Harpster because maybe look, they're still in there. I mean they're still in the mix, but those injuries they've had a lot, and there's always a team or two every year or more than that who just that's the story, in this league. That's just how it goes. But yeah, look, Kansas City, like you said, they've played most of those games at home, but then. It's like a couple years ago when I was convinced then too, it's the Ravens' time, and they just go into Baltimore and win that game. And by the way, Travis Kelce isn't just like Mr. Taylor Swift either anymore. Like he actually is. I mean, he had a big game last game, and it looks like he's a little bit more explosive than he was last year. I mean, maybe this is his last year. I have no idea, but. You put Rice in with everything else they have, and it's starting to look pretty good. It's starting to look pretty familiar there. So, it's but I just can the Patriots and Colts, can they continue to do what they're doing? I mean, there's people talking about Drake May as the guy who's really, really ascending. Josh McDaniels. He may not be good when he leaves New England, but boy, as the OC in New England, the guy gets it done. And I mean, I think this is huge for him in terms of just the whole. Well, yeah, he had Brady.
Yeah,
this looks pretty good. With no Brady around. By the way, Brady, boy, when's that winning attitude going to rub off other Raiders? Man, he's in the coaches' meetings. He's in all this stuff, and it's looking pretty ugly over there. But. I think the big disappointments, obviously, Houston Texans would be one of the huge disappointments. I mean, the Dolphins are too, but I didn't expect that much out of them.
The Ravens are at the moment. We'll see.
Yeah, the Ravens for sure. But man, watching the Steelers the other night, they're average. The Bengals are probably screwed after what they just did against the Jets, and Cleveland Browns are what apparently. I mean, Albert Breer saying they should trade Myles Garrett. So Take the $90 million dead cap hit. And
Yeah,
like,
that'd be
what,
good.
what is somebody giving Cleveland for Myles Garrett?
I mean, multiple first round picks would be what it
Like,
would
would 2 firsts even get him?
probably not.
I mean,
I mean,
like,
Micah went for a couple first round picks,
yeah.
and Myles Garrett is better than Micah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little older.
He is old.
So that's, there's that in there.
He's had 5 sacks on Sunday.
And by the way, they got blown out still.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants out of there so bad. That would be. Are we gonna have? That's another thing. Are we gonna have a huge move? Or more this year from the contenders?
By the way, Drake May, number 3 on the board right now on the MVP odds. It's Mahomes at 1, Josh Allen at 2, Drake May at number 3, and Allen and May pretty close in those odds right now. I think if it keeps going this way, Mahomes is going to win the MVP. We'll see if it goes any differently, but if it keeps going this way, he's going to win.
Just the Mahomes fatigue.
Although I will
doesn't
say,
matter.
If you stack up the numbers, you know who's better? You do. Jordan Love. He's better.
Where's he on that?
He's number 5. Tied for number 4, actually. With
Jordan
Stafford.
Love.
If he plays like he did the other night, he's got a chance.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Chad in Hendersonville. Chad, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys, I got a kind of a little crazy one for you, but I'm actually dead serious about it, and I know you can't wait for that with that kind of intro.
There we go.
There's a guy, he's not good enough to play in the NBA, so you haven't heard of him. So he's barely, you'd be like a D-League player. There's a couple of these guys. The guy's name is Taco Fall. He's listed at 7'6.5". There's another guy that you haven't heard of because he's not quite good enough. He's listed at 7'5". His name is Bobo Marinovic. Why not bring these 2 guys in, roster spots with the Titans, and put them on the kickoff, to block a kickoff? You're talking about guys that could probably get up 13, 14 feet in the air. What is the analytics of where the football, as it goes back, with the way these guys are kicking these long bombs, what is the analytics of where it goes over the line of scrimmage on a kick? And has it ever been thought about to literally, if we can put these freaks that are almost 8 foot tall, that have a reach that goes to 12 foot tall or taller, and then could potentially jump another half a foot to get to 14 and a half. Has that ever been talked about, or is it as crazy as my call? Your thoughts?
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it.
I'm a huge Taco Fall fan, by the way. UCF had a hell of a career.
I did not expect the clamoring from Titans fans to sign Taco Fall today, but
you know what, man?
Why not?
I'm not against it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, just try.
It's worth a try.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that could work. And seriously, like if you're the Titans this year, you almost need to try to have like a Savannah Bananas kind of like, gimmick
gimmicks
out there. Right?
yeah.
I mean, Curtis Douglas plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning last night. He's 6'9", 250 pounds. Get him out there on the field goal block too.
There you go.
Watching some 6'9" dude on skates last night. It's like, wow.
I
He
mean,
looks like UC Saros' father out there. It's unbelievable.
I had a point,
and then I ruined it. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll think of it, or maybe I won't.
Order your Taco Fall Titans jerseys now. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. We're going to get into the quarterback part of this with the Titans coming up next, including a trend around the league that is continuing. And at this point, I think forcing you to take notice. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Talking quarterbacks, Cam Ward, and a trend in the NFL at this point, Joe, that's pretty hard to ignore. And it doesn't mean it's going to play out this way in every situation, but we are now in the last 4 or 5 years looking at multiple quarterbacks that did not work out, in some cases to extreme degrees, in their first stop where they were drafted pretty high and have since moved on to different teams, different situations, and are playing really well. I mean, probably the best example of that, even though he worked out better than some of these in his first stop, would be Mayfield, right? Mayfield drafted by the Browns. He actually got the Browns to the playoffs, which is a heck of an accomplishment.
And killed the Steelers in a playoff game.
He did.
And played great.
And then he had some injuries that he dealt with later in his career in Cleveland. And then they decided to move on from him and bring in Deshaun Watson. That worked out well. Really good stuff from Cleveland there. And they're still reaping the benefits of that. So he moves on. He ends up in Carolina. He showed up to L.A. and played a game like 2 days later and led them to a win. And then eventually ends up in Tampa Bay, where he's been really darn good the last 3 years. And this year, we were going through MVP odds earlier. He's not near the top of the odds list at the moment. But if he keeps playing the way that he's played all year, he's going to be there at the end of the year in the mix. I mean, right now, Mahomes, Allen, May, Stafford, Love, Jonathan Taylor, and Jared Goff all have better odds for MVP than Baker Mayfield does. Baker Mayfield's playing really darn well this year.
He is. I mean, it hurts him that Monday night game, he played the Lions like a bunch of backups in it. I don't know what the heck happened that night, but it just didn't look good. But, yeah, I mean, for the most part, he's one of the best QBs in the league. And so it just continues on and on with this second act. I guess in some cases, third act, fourth act. I mean, Sam Darnold's been with how many teams?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's another one. So you've got Mayfield. There's Darnold, who's playing well for Seattle this year. You've got Geno Smith in the mix, all this. And I know that this year is not going very well for him, but he did have, success going from the Jets to the Seahawks. And now that he's with the Raiders, it's not going quite as well this year, but, kind of a reclamation project there. And then obviously the most recent example, and the one that the Titans have just seen up close, is Daniel Jones and what he's doing with the Colts this year, which, by the way, includes a 7-1 record, completing 71.2% of his passes. He's thrown for 2,062 yards already, 8.5 an attempt, which is a pretty darn good number, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Like, he's playing really well. And Jonathan Taylor, obviously, is the most important part of their offense, but Daniel Jones is playing really well in Indianapolis. So, Jones is with the Giants. He has basically one good year with the Giants where they make the playoffs and he gets his contract and all those things. That ends up flaming out. He goes to Minnesota to sit behind Sam Darnold last year, and now he's playing really good football with the Indianapolis Colts. So, at this point, Joe, there's enough examples of this happening in the NFL where I think you got to pay attention to it to some degree, right? Like, it's quarterbacks that were drafted high that obviously have good ability and talent that did not work out in their first stop that end up working out later on in their career. So what does it mean? Like, how do you judge quarterbacks, and how much of it is just purely situation, right? Like Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland Browns, Sam Darnold, the New York Jets, Daniel Jones, I guess to a lesser degree. Like, I wouldn't put the Giants in the same level of dysfunction or chaos as the Jets and Browns have been over a long period of time.
Right.
The Giants have their moments where they're bad, and then all of a sudden they'll randomly make the playoffs and make a deep run. But how much of it is just situation? And ultimately, how does this all relate back to Cam Ward as we're watching him play? The timeline for these quarterbacks is shorter than ever before in the NFL, where you have to show something. Like, how do you factor all of this information in if you're the Titans, Amy Adams-Strunk, Mike Borgonzi, all these people making decisions for the Titans moving forward?
Yeah, I think the whole league, it's like, okay, everybody pay attention, because there's some teams out there who are giving up, and then they're watching someone go, light it up elsewhere. I mean, different kinds of examples, but obviously Ryan Tannehill here. Now, Ryan Tannehill had a lot of productive years in Miami, but eventually they got a second deal, and then they gave up on him. It's not the same. Jared Goff in Detroit. Jared Goff, I mean, his whole career, he's been in a good situation. He went to the Super Bowl with the Rams, but they gave up on him. And I don't think they were wrong. Like, they have a better quarterback, to me, in Matthew Stafford. But if you went by the numbers, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think Stafford is definitely better. But that's also goes to show you, like where you land and what's around you. I mean, Goff is the ultimate, to me, example of got some really good skills, but like also limitations where with some of these teams, it would look very different. But I think it's just, I mean, it's not going to be true of everybody, but I think over time, if you can handle the ups and downs and the bumps, a lot of these guys are going to get better. They're going to improve. So are there examples? I mean, I think Josh Allen would be the primary one, and maybe there are others, but I think Josh Allen would be the primary example. If Josh Allen's early years at Buffalo happened now, would they bail on him?
They might. Yeah.
So back then, I don't think it was that much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in the city of Buffalo, it was like, what the hell are they doing? I mean, I thought that. I'm like, hey, good job. You drafted a linebacker who can't throw. Congratulations. You got the next Tebow. But obviously, they stuck with him, and he became a great player. Now that may not happen. I'm trying to think of other examples of obviously it wasn't great early for Trevor Lawrence, and It still hasn't been great. That's the thing. Some people sort of become are what they are, and it's not like it's terrible to have him as your quarterback, but
even with him, like he had a 7-8 week stretch when they made the playoffs where he looked really good.
Yeah.
And then he won a playoff game, right? So it's like, well, you see that. It's like, well, you think it's there at some point, and then the more distance you get from that, the more maybe you realize that maybe that was the aberration, and he just kind of is what he is.
Yeah, like some of these, I can't, like, again, the Jets are just a different situation. So based on what we saw from Sam Darnold, like, I don't blame them for moving on, and I think he just got better. Is Zach Wilson destined at some point to reemerge and be good? I don't think so. But I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. Mac Jones, I still think Mac Jones, even though he's had some good moments, with the Niners in that fill and roll, he also then a little bit of like, okay, yeah, he's probably more of a backup. But even he seems to have improved some, or just maybe he went to a place where you can look better as a quarterback because you're with the 49ers.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting to. How much of this is situation? You're right. Like, you're going to find examples that we've just talked about of quarterbacks moving on to different spots, getting deeper in their career and getting better. I mean, there are also going to be quarterbacks that are drafted high that just aren't good and then never figure it out. And that's always been the case. That'll always be the case as they move forward. And look, I have no idea. We're 8 games into Cam Ward's career. Don't know if he's going to be good. Don't know if he's going to be bad. Don't know if he's going to leave here at some point and eventually be good somewhere else, or if he's going to be the Titans quarterback for the next 15 years and win 3 Super Bowls. All those things are on the table right now, by the way. Like, it's too early to make any judgments on that. But I will say, you look at Mayfield, the Browns, Darnold and Geno Smith and the Jets, and Daniel Jones and the Giants, and how that's gone in the last few years. And situation matters. So I guess my real question is, are the Titans and their situation, is that dooming Cam Ward? We're going to get into that coming up next. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. The Blue Raiders take on Jacksonville State tonight at 6:30. Catch all the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, talking quarterbacks, Cam Ward, situations, and how that impacts him moving forward. So how much harder are the Titans and their situation with their roster, now having fired their coach, going to a different coach? Whenever they hire this coach, Cam Ward's going to be on his third play caller in the span of one calendar year as the time that comes around. And then, oh, by the way, the roster's horrible. So there's also that you have to factor in as well. Are we afraid of the Titans being what the Titans have been over the last few years, which is one of, if not the worst franchises in the NFL? Is that automatically setting Cam Ward up for failure? And I guess here's where I'm coming from with that too. You know, Cam Ward, I think we've seen enough, Joe, at this point to say that there's some ability there. Like he's got some talent to him. He's made some throws where you're like, wow, okay, that pops. It's a pretty good throw. I mean, his first touchdown pass was unbelievable, the play that he made on that play. However, like I also think we've seen enough from him to know that he's not like some generational can't miss, Peyton Manning type quarterback out there. And he wasn't that in the draft process, and that doesn't mean he can't end up being a great quarterback. But it's not like you're dealing with just some phenom out there either. So factoring all that in, how concerned should we be that the Titans and how bad they are and how bad the situation is around him, independent of him by himself, is just setting him up for failure, given that that's how it's gone for a lot of these quarterbacks that we just talked about. Of they were in horrific situations, and then they got out of those situations and all of a sudden looked a lot better.
Yeah, well, I just think it's just a question of, are the Titans going to continue to be a crap team or not? Because I don't think they're ruining him. Again, the things that we're talking about here, we're talking about a bunch of guys who weren't actually quote unquote ruined, right? They just didn't succeed where they were. Then they probably combination of they got better. Really, like a lot of success is rooted in failure, right? I mean, like if you're good enough, then you learn from the failures and they actually help you. Then you get to a better situation, and then all of a sudden it all comes together. So are the Titans ever going to be good enough to help him improve and be at his best? Or are they going to give up on him at some point, and then he's going to go somewhere else and look pretty good? I mean, I think Cam Ward, I think he has the ingredients of being a good quarterback in the NFL. I don't know, like almost all of them, I wouldn't expect him ever to be like a guy who can carry a franchise and make like a bad group look way better than it is, like a Mahomes does, like a Brady did, But again, if you're holding out for that, then just keep holding your breath. I think he can be a good quarterback. I think he has the ingredients to be a good quarterback and a guy that you feel comfortable starting. And if he's on a great team, he might look like a great quarterback. Again, it's like, like the Goff thing is, I go back to that a lot just because of how you and I have thought. I remember you and Stille got into that big. You were all over Stille, and I was with you. Like Goff's better than Tannehill. That's ridiculous. And Ed just asked me on the text line, who would you take Pete at their peak? And it is close. I mean, I still actually think Tannehill is probably the more talented player, but Goff has done better in the postseason. But why? When you have offensive line play and running backs and receivers and offensive coordinator like that, my God, what if Cam Ward had that? Like if Cam Ward right now was put in that exact situation, would it look as good? I don't think so. But I bet you it'd look a heck of a lot better. So how far are the Titans from that? I mean, they feel like light years away from that, So are they ever, so like I think that he's going to hang in there, and they have to make a good choice here with the next coach. But like I think there's a lot of coaches out there who could probably coach Cam Ward and help him progress. It's just, do you give him clean pockets? Does he have someone who manipulates a defense and they are afraid of him downfield. Does he have someone who is a problem in the run game? And teams now, you suck those linebackers up and the play action is that much more effective. I mean, are you going to give them that kind of help?
Well, we went through the needs yesterday in the aftermath of the McCreary trade, and we'll see what else is coming over the next week here. Are there more trades that the Titans are going to make? Are they done? On that point, we'll see. But I mean, they're light years away right now from being one of those rosters that you look at and you say, yeah, I mean, that roster is worthy of like Super Bowl contention. I mean, it's almost laughable to bring up how far away they are from that. Now, how far away are they with their roster from being competent and good enough to where if he's the guy that you drafted him to be, he starts to elevate what's around it? Like, I think it would be hard, not impossible, but hard for anybody in the league right now to elevate what they got out there right now. I mean, the roster is horrific, and now they've started trading other people off. Their defense is terrible. Calvin Ridley's been hurt. They're dealing with rookies out there for the most part who are their pass catchers at the moment, and that's fine. Like, those guys have showed well, but they're rookies, and they're fourth-round rookies at that. So, like, the roster's in a bad spot right now when it comes to that. How close are they? In one offseason, can they do a good enough job where nobody's saying they're going from just absolute bottom of the barrel to top where they're competing for meaningful things next year? But can you get yourself to a point where you can start to properly evaluate the quarterback, right? Because right now they're not there. Like, can you get yourself to the point where you can start to properly evaluate the quarterback and put him at least in a spot where his skills can translate and hopefully he can start to elevate your roster?
Right. In the meantime, he has to get better too. I mean,
No doubt.
It's okay for him to independently just be better. And so then if you have that combination of he takes a step, it's coming out a little bit quicker. He's just like there's so much. I mean, it's a complex game. I mean, when it comes down to like quarterbacks and pre-snap and immediate post-snap reads and all that stuff, and then I would say yes. It doesn't mean they will. It's not easy to do, but yes, in one off season, you can, and it's like, it's, you can do things, but then also there's like, okay, is Latham year 3 better? Like Skaranchi here in year 3 looks pretty good. Is that happen with Latham? Things like that. Some of the other individuals that you are stuck with, like you are going with those guys. Well, are they going to get better? And the coaching too. The coaching is huge. I mean, it's as much as it's like, it's about players, not plays. I mean, in football and the NFL, some coaches have a great feel for maximizing talent and just play calling and designing and game planning and adjusting in a game and all those things. And he hasn't had that at a high level. What does it look like if he has that at a high level?
It would certainly help because it's been bottom of the barrel on that front as well. Let's head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a great day to be a duck out here, man. I'll tell you that.
It's wet.
Yeah. So I feel like you're kind of asking about like a comparison or an analogy. And so like whenever I saw this whole thing go down between Cam Ward getting drafted here and the current state of the team, I didn't feel like the state of the team was worth it, but it kind of reminded me to some of those high school couples you was around where, all they do is bicker with one another, and then both sets of friends on either side tells them, look, y'all just need to break up. And then they just come back and say, hey, we're going to adopt a puppy together. And you're like, oh, great. That's probably the last thing you two need right now. That's kind of how I see this relationship, knowing of all the other shortcomings. And there really wasn't a lot of foundation before going out and getting a quarterback. They just went all in and got him. And now, like you said, Joe, you're just kind of stuck with what you got. So, I'm here for the ride, but I tell you what, it's a bumpy one. Tighten up.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. A couple of thoughts I want to get to on that front as it relates to the Titans. We will do that coming up next. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Wednesday morning. We will get into the Nashville Predators coming up here in just a few minutes. They lose last night to Tampa Bay, and offense is bad to begin the year. We will get into that coming up. A common theme around here. Losing and bad offense.
It's so unfair. I need like a historical review. There's been plenty of cities that have had bad teams and like bad teams at the same time, but bad teams that can't score.
It's a horrific combo
for this long at the same time. How many cities have dealt with this crap?
It is a horrific combo. So we will get into that with the Predators coming up here in just a few minutes. A couple thoughts on the Cam Ward thing as it relates to the quarterback discussion we've had. And again, I want to be clear, we're 8 games into his career. They could have a great offseason, add a lot of things to the roster, and things can change quickly around here. And we, who knows? We could be talking about instead of a 1-7 Titans team, like a 4-4 Titans team at this point next year. So who knows? We'll see what happens on that front. My fear right now is the same as it was when they drafted him, and I would probably say has intensified a little bit since they drafted him. And again, to remind people, you and I both said, don't draft Cam Ward, make a trade, collect some picks, add to the roster, and then figure out quarterback a little bit down the road. They didn't do that, so there's no point in reliving that at the moment. But, one of the things that we talked about was, is Cam Ward that good where with everything else you need on your roster that he's the guy you take? Because I said that, if you believe he is, then I always take the quarterback in that situation. If you think Cam Ward is just unquestionably going to be great, then that's what you do if you're the Titans. My fear at the time was as much to do with Cam Ward as it was the Titans. It probably more so. It was it's the Titans are the ones who drafted him. And situation matters. And team matters. And development matters. And we talked about at the end of last year, you're heading into a situation, if you're Ward, where you got a coach that just went 3-14. They fired the general manager. And I think everybody could see heading into the year that if there wasn't dramatic improvement, the coach is probably going to be fired. And it went even worse than I thought heading into the year. And he was gone basically in the blink of an eye of his second NFL season. So you got that in the backdrop of all of it. The roster's bad. There's the ownership situation that we've around the league, and it's just a bad situation. And my fear now is the same as it was when they drafted Cam Ward, which is, man, are the Titans just going to absolutely ruin him? And I can't say that I've seen anything this year that makes me less scared of that moving forward.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean ruin him for his entire career. But the whole thing we're talking about here is all these quarterbacks are popping up elsewhere with teams they weren't drafted by and playing really well. And good for Cam Ward, I guess, if it works out that way. But that didn't do the Titans any good if he goes somewhere else and is good later in his career.
Yeah. So, look, unless it goes really bad. And I think the way he's playing, again, the last game gives me more confidence. I think it was possibly his best game. I understand what happened in the fourth quarter against Arizona. So I guess you'd probably hold that up when you have a 190-yard fourth quarter, right? But I thought last game might have been his best game. I think he's going to progress to a certain point. I don't know where he ends up. I don't know what the ceiling is exactly. Can he be totally consistent? Can he get the footwork consistent? All that stuff, and be more accurate more often. But I think they're gonna, as long as it's not something where he falls. I mean, when you draft someone first overall, you're gonna get every opportunity. So it really comes down to do you believe, like Mike Borgonzi, this draft, again, take him out of it. It's about the draft will be defined by Cam Ward, but take him out of it. How does this draft look? I mean, I think the second round pick is a big question. But there's some good things in there, right?
Yep.
Can you keep drafting well? You have all this cap space. I mean, you should be able to do some things to help the guy a lot. If you went and did the Sam Darnold thing, what would Sam Darnold be looking like right now? Now that would mean something else different, right? Obviously, in the draft, maybe you move down, maybe you get Abdul Carter, or
You're talking about the Titans signing Sam Darnold.
I'm saying if the Titans sign Sam Darnold this offseason, because Darnold looks great again out there in Seattle. Darnold, like Daniel Jones, is going to have to show people he can rise up and play really well in a postseason game.
Right.
But I'm also not discounting that as a possibility. I mean, he's good. He's a good quarterback. Like Sam Darnold right now, you would take that. A lot of teams around this league would take that. Certainly the Titans would too. But if you took him, what would it look like right now? I mean, let's say you probably would have ended up with Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it might not look all that good. We might be talking about, oh yeah, well, actually, Sam Darnold is not very. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I absolutely. I always go back to Goff. If Goff were here right now, I mean, you can see things as quickly as you want. You can be as accurate as you want. It would look a little better, but it wouldn't look that good.
Are the Titans really going to win a lot with this roster if you just swap out the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Probably not, right? Maybe you would push for a wild card at best, but what's the long-term goal there? Like, do you really just want to be in the middle with Darnold and a terrible roster?
No, but I mean, I think the idea of that is, well, if you think he's good, then obviously then you address other things, and at some point maybe you have an opportunity to draft one. But again, these teams, I mean, look at how many of these teams are. Yeah, it's great when you have an Allen, a Mahomes, a Lamar, a Burrow, homegrown, and they're great, and you grow with them. That's great. But there's a lot of other teams in this league who are legit threats with quarterbacks on their second trip and their second stop.
That's the thing with Darnold and Jones too. Like, they're 28 years old. Like, if this is what Daniel Jones is or close to it, I mean, he could be the quarterback for the Colts for the next 10 years. Like, he could. I'm not saying he will, but he could. Like Baker Mayfield, he's 30. Like, he's going to be in Tampa for a while. So, I mean, that's the other thing here is, these second, and all of these guys are on more than their second stop, by the way. But these third, fourth stop quarterbacks that are playing really well right now, a lot of them are still relatively young when it comes to quarterback and have a lot of runway left in their career.
And then some, yeah, they do. Again, I don't think Mac Jones is going to be a starter. I don't think Zach Wilson's going to be a starter. Who else has been discarded? Who probably just, I mean, obviously, like Josh Rosen is a great example of like, please leave the league.
Yeah.
My goodness. So there's that too. And so, Mariota, just, it's like, yeah, he's a backup. He's a good backup. That's what he is. Yeah, so I've heard Stilly and others say the Titans ruined him. I reject that. I think we finally saw maybe the injuries, maybe the broken leg did to some extent, but that also happened. So it was just one player who got sacked and it was an awkward fall. I mean, I think that over time you saw, he doesn't quite have it. And that may be the case with Cam Ward too. I do think that Cam Ward is going to get the time like Mariota did to prove or disprove that he's the guy.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll get into this with Kuharsky later in the program as well. Get his thoughts on all this. Again, the NFL trading deadline coming up next week. So we'll get Paul's thoughts on all things the Titans could do between now and then. All that coming up later in the show as well. Coming up next, the Preds fall last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was not pretty, and it's not been pretty all year to this point offensively. What do we make of what we're seeing from the Preds, and where do we think things go from here? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Wednesday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We'll have Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us later in the program. We got a lot of things on the Titans front to get into with him, so looking forward to PK on the show later. Joe, the Predators fall again last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning. 5-2 the final score. Preds did get within one late in the game. Philip Forsberg, straight out of the penalty box with a rope on a rebound from a shot by Evangelista. Got it to 3-2. And then Kucherov scores an empty net goal. And then they add another goal that was not an empty net to close things out and make it 5-2 last night in a game where, largely they got flat out dominated by Tampa Bay. Like, there were stretches late in the first and basically the entirety of the second where they couldn't get anything going. Like, I think the Predators had 3 shots on goal in the second period. They couldn't get out of their own end. Tampa Bay was knocking pucks down either at the blue line or in the neutral zone and just sending it right back in and going back on the attack. And Joe, now for the 8th time in 11 games this year, the Predators have scored 2 or fewer in a game, which is bad. And as Adam Vingan pointed out last night, that is the most in the NHL, where they've had 2 or fewer goals, scored 8 times in 11 games. So on one hand, I've talked about this. I do think they have made some progress defensively. Now, they're very quickly running into some injury issues on defense. Yossi's out. He's week to week. Adam Wilsby got hurt last night, and Adam Wilsby last few games has been bad. He started off pretty good. Last few games he's been bad, but he left in the second period last night with a lower body injury, and now he's hurt, so we'll see if it's going to be Blankenberg moving forward here for a little bit, how long Wilsby's out, whatever. But defensively, I think they've been decent so far this year. Certainly a step up from where they were last year at the end of the year. Offensively, they're just bad. They're flat out bad on offense right now. And there's no other way to say it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Power play, at least, has started to get rolling a little bit the last couple of games. They've scored a power play goal in the last 2 games. But overall, their offense is just bad. There are long stretches of games, Joe, and this has happened the last three games for sure, where they just go like 15, 20, 25 minutes and barely get a shot, barely get any sort of looks at the net. And you just can't do that in the NHL. And nobody's going to sit there and just dominate 60 minutes of a hockey game. We all understand that. But you can't just go through like a third of the game without approaching the net. Like, it's hard to win that way. So, Joe, as you sit here and we're 11 games into a marathon 82-game season, the offense has been this bad to this point. What's your concern level with that? How do you view that if you're a Predators fan right now, knowing that last year was about as bad as it gets? This year, they're still hanging around. They're 2 points out of a playoff spot right now. Not that playoff spots matter in late October, but how do you view all that if you're the Predators and a Predators fan heading into this?
Yeah, there's some optimism early. Like you said, look, I do think, like, the improvements of the decor, that's good. It was needed. There's a lot that was needed. But they've got nothing down the middle, and they have the least down the middle of probably any team in this league, and it shows. And it's just hard to watch. It's not good. I don't have optimism that it's going to change. I think we've seen enough now to be. It's just going to be maybe the bottom line will be better, and they'll be able to scrounge together more like 2-1 wins this year to be relevant longer. But it's still going to be very hard to watch. And look, Abel here on the YouTube chat says it's called bad coaching for the Titans and Preds. Pitiful to watch. No other team would have Brunette as a coach in the NFL, as an assistant coach at best, of even that now. I just look at who's on the ice for the Preds. I'm not taking responsibility away from Andrew Brunette. I understand that. We talked about maybe it was better for them to move on from him in the offseason. But if you think that this is a matter of like a team that has the capability of being offensively prolific and the coaching is holding it back, that's just not true.
Their center situation right now is horrible. Like there's no other way to put it. And we knew that heading into the year. I said it before they dropped the puck. They've got the worst center group in the NHL. And it's played out that way to this point. I mean, look, heading into the season, they were under the impression that Fedor Svechkov was going to be their second line center. And right now he's been a healthy scratch the last 2 games and doesn't have a point yet through 9 games, I guess, that he's played. And he's still young, not giving up on the kid or anything like that. And he's trying hard and all those things. And I think probably you could make an argument, and Brunette's talked about this, he's probably trying a little too hard and not taking some of the easy plays that are there for him to make. But the bottom line is their center production is just horrific to this point. I mean, look, Ryan O'Reilly's had a really good start to the year. And if it wasn't for him, I mean, they'd be getting nothing. And look, McCarron's had a good start to the year too, but McCarron has had a good start to the year because he's a good penalty killer and because that line has done a decent job of shutting people down. We know that line's not going to produce a whole lot of offense. So they've moved Stamkos to center the last couple of games to try to get him going a little bit. And it's been better at center. Like he's gotten a couple of more looks. But again, you're talking with him 1 goal and 2 points in 11 games. Now, if he keeps getting looks, they're probably going to start to go in a little bit more for him. His shooting percentage is like 4 right now or something like that. It's really low for him. So if he keeps getting shots, they're probably going to go in at some point. But for the most part this year, he's not getting enough shots. Like Trotz talked about that yesterday with DVD. Like he's barely touching the puck, which is part of what moving him to center is going to look like. It's just they're a bad offensive team. And the thing is, I think they kind of know it, right? Like Stamkos, we talked about his comments last week where he was like,
let's be real.
We ain't scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. Like we know this. So there's a certain way we're going to have to play if we're going to win. And I just, again, I think they've gotten better defensively. Saros has been rock solid to start the year. All those things are good. But it's just really hard in today's National Hockey League to sit back and think you're going to win very many games if you can't score more than 2 goals. Like you'll win some if you play really good defense, and you'll probably stretch some games to overtime because you're playing good defense, and maybe you string out some points that way. But you're just not going to win on a very consistent basis if you can't get the offense going. It's just not going to happen.
So you have to be like some of those teams in the early years of Trotz and win that way. Zach on the text side, driven by WilsonCountyHockey.com, says the counter argument to Abel, they could barely complete a pass last night. It has nothing to do with coaching. They just don't have the offensive skill to get it done. And like you said, I'm talking about centerman. I mean, like you said, O'Reilly has been really good. He's bailed them out.
Yeah.
So you got to give him his respect for sure for what he does and what he's done in his whole career. But it's just not a fun product to watch.
No.
And there's just no answer to that other than, to me, like, they should be better in the power play. They need to go through an absolute tear on the power play, right?
That's how they're going to have to score.
And that's, but short of that, like they're not going to be dangerous 5-on-5 this year.
No. And again, like if your power play is really, really good, then maybe you can overcome some of that 5-on-5. Like if you're just absolutely lethal on your power play, then you can generate offense that way. But if you're not if you're just okay on the power play, and right now they haven't even been okay on the power play. If they get to that point where they're decent on the power play, like it's still going to be hard to win if you're not threatening 5-on-5. And look, Stamkos, there's a lot of conversation about him right now. We had a couple of people text in already of like, trade him or send him out of here or ship him back to Tampa. I mean, he's not going anywhere. Like the contract at this point, you can't move. Like he's getting paid over $8 million a year. The production's not there. I mean, I guess you could eat half of it if you wanted to, if you're the Predators. I don't know if they want to do that.
They've done a bit of that over the years.
And I mean, in Tampa specifically, I don't think Tampa has the cap space for even half of his contract right now. So, like, I don't think he's going anywhere, guys. I guess is what I'm saying. So you got to figure out a way to make it work. And look, with him, the first thing people are going to say is, well, he's 35 and he's lost a step. And maybe that's true. I mean, I know this. Like the tracking numbers, when you track his skating ability, tell you that he can still move. Like he still skates really well. When he lets it go, you can see the shot, and it's like, well, okay. I just think his days of being the play driver are over. And they were probably over, frankly, at the end of his time in Tampa. And when you're playing with Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, you don't have to be the play driver.
Right.
You could sit there and set them up or finish it off when they send a ridiculous behind the back cross eyes feed to you and you're just one timing it. So I'm not saying that he's like some points merchant at the end of his career with Kucherov and Point, but there's a pretty large difference between playing with Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov and what he's playing with right now. They cannot find a centerman for him. And now they've already done within the first 10 games what they said they didn't want to do this last offseason, was to move him back to center, and you're already having to do it. That's not good. That's not good.
No, to tie the whole show together, kind of helps to have the help around you, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can be a really good player, in different sports, but like it does matter what's around you, and it's amazing how much different you can look. But I also, I mean,
again, and he's not the same guy he was at 27.
I was gonna say he's also older.
Yeah, he's older.
A lot of traps.
I'm just saying, like, I think there are people that think that he's just some old pawpaw out there and can't move anymore. And I'm just saying the data does not support that. Like he when he gets going, he goes. But it's not happening often enough. So again, anytime we have a conversation about the Predators, Joe, it ultimately leads to what's going to happen with the coach. And we've got people weighing in on that. We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Take your thoughts on the Preds. Kuharsky will be with us later in the program as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
You mentioned the penalties. The kill's been so good all year, but do you worry about, kind of taking your team out of a flow with how many penalties you guys are taking?
Absolutely. Part of it, we're not moving our feet. We're taking way too many. I think Halsey's taking way too many every night. Just kind of senseless penalties that we put ourselves on 5-on-3s, where we're not moving our feet and we're slashing or we're hooking, and they're all kind of preventable penalties. But when you're not skating, you're not moving, you take those penalties. And, early in the year, they're always going to be tick-tacky a little bit. We should recognize that and understand that. Unfortunately, we're a little bit hard-headed in that category right now.
That was Andrew Brunette last night after the game discussing the penalties. They're taking a lot of penalties, a lot of stick infractions. And the good news is penalty kill's been good, been really good to begin the year. Problem is, probably not scoring too many goals when the penalty kill's out there all the time. So that's part of what has led to their offensive struggles, but it's not the whole thing. I mean, the offense is just bad. And I don't know how much better it's going to get as the year goes on based on where they're at with their center depth right now. And Joe, this obviously leads to, Brunette conversation. We knew we were going to have it early in the year if things didn't go really, really well. They're, like I said, they're in it. They're not out of it. It's not like they're just totally out of it like they were to start last year. They're 4-5-2. They're 10 points. There's a whole mix of teams right now that are right there together in the Western Conference. Too early in the year for anybody to have really separated themselves. I mean, Utah and Colorado are the best two teams in the West right now, and they're at 16 points. So they're six points ahead of you at this point. So it's all jumbled up. It's not like they can't win a few games here in a row and they're right back in the thick of the playoff race. But it's just it's hard to imagine them at the moment over an 82 game season with how challenged I think they're going to be offensively. It's hard to imagine them hanging in there. It is. Like, it's going to take superhuman goaltending, superhuman defensive play if they can't get to scoring more than 2 goals a game. Like, it just is. So there's people on the text line that are saying it. Like, if the offense is this bad, isn't Brunette supposed to be an offensive guy? Isn't he supposed to be a power play guy? Would you not benefit at some point from at least trying to change the head coach and seeing if you get a bump, seeing if there's some sort of systems change you can make, all those things? How do you view that as we sit here today, 11 games into the season, Joe?
Well, yeah, I view that as what teams do in the NHL, and so we're there traditionally. We're there conventionally, or we're getting close. But again, we were there at the end of last year.
Right.
There are other teams that would have changed. I don't know about Barry Trotz, though. And it's fine. Yeah, maybe I think it is absolutely fair to say power play guy, look at this power play. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I also agree with Brunette, what he told us, which is like, I mean, it's power play is almost like, if you ever had that homework assignment in high school where you have to like take care of an egg for 24 hours, I mean, it is delicate, like psychologically, and they're obviously in their own heads. They're better than what we're seeing, right? And it happens. This happens at power plays, but it's still fair to say, dude, you should be able to fix this. Overall, though, I think this roster is performing offensively exactly like we've been saying for months that they would, because they didn't do any. They do not have the pieces to be better than this. I'm sorry, they are not, to me, underperforming much. I mean, not really. I mean, yeah, you could always look at this and say, maybe this guy and this guy and this guy will have much better years. And yes, some of these guys had down years last year that you were surprised by, but for the most part, I don't think that they're all that far off from what on paper they are. Does that mean you absolutely don't change the coach? No, in this league, you typically do. So it's fine. Go ahead. I have my doubts that you're going to see massively different results from doing that.
I mean, if it keeps going this way, where they can't score at all, it probably gets to a point this year at some point where you got to do it. It probably does. It's just, like you said, it's life in the NHL.
But will Trotz do it?
I don't know. That's a good question. But I think, look, if it continues this way and they can't score, and by the time the trade deadline comes around, you're looking up and you're 10 points out of a playoff spot. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as it was last year, where you look up in like January the 5th and it's like, wow, we're going to have to win like 90% of our games the rest of the way to make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be like that. But I do think there's a chance that the deadline rolls around and you look up and it's like, well, it's going to take pretty good stuff in the last part of this season for us to squeak into the playoffs. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. So at that point, you're looking at your roster and it's like, well, Michael Bunting probably gone at that point. Do you do anything with your defense, or you got enough young guys on defense? Like is Molendijk up by that point? Where's Kimmel at that point? Like some of these guys that are in Milwaukee are going to start to trickle in here. Does that get anything any better offensively? But I think the big question is going to be like, how much do you want to shake things up if you're Barry Trotz? Yes, part of that's the coaching. But like, does it get to a point where either like a Stamkos or a Marchessault looks around and like, get me out here, man? Like, I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to view that. I know this, like those guys didn't sign up to come here to miss out on the playoffs 2 years in a row. And look, they're a part of it, right? Like they're not playing, Marchessault, I think, has had a decent start to the year. Not a great one, but a decent one. Stamkos obviously hasn't. Like he's got 2 points in 11 games. So they're part of the problem at the moment. But those guys didn't sign up to come here to be a part of a rebuild or anything like that. So I don't know. Like I guess I'm just saying, if it doesn't get any better offensively, does it get to a point where you got to make a move with a coach? And if you're Trotz, you got to start looking at your roster and maybe trying to make some moves that we didn't anticipate heading into the year. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think it probably does. I'm keeping an open mind on Trotz, and he's obviously a big patience guy, and as we've talked about, he had the benefit of that as a coach too. But yeah, I mean, I think at some point it probably gets there. Keith says, do you think Forsberg ever get tired of this, want to go somewhere where he can win?
I've thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for a lot of these guys, like Forsberg and Yos. I mean, these guys have, the end of their careers here. It's not, for the most part, going well. I mean, they made the playoffs 2 years ago as a surprise, but I mean, it's just not going well. But again, like they're part of it too. I mean, look, when it comes down to it, a year ago, it's like, yeah, man, Novak can do that. No. Now Svechkov, no.
There's a lot of hope, and it just doesn't. It's not a good strategy. And look, again, I'm not pulling the plug on Svechkov. It's just been a bad start for him. I would assume, he's been a healthy scratch for 2 games now. The offense had gotten a whole lot better. I assume he's probably going to be back in there on Thursday. We'll see what happens on that front. But the bottom line is, like, they got a lot of young guys in their system right now, and I don't think any of them are ready to be difference makers in the NHL, like true play-driving difference makers.
How many of them will ever be?
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I think Brady Martin will be at some point, but we're probably a ways away from that. Kimmel, I think, has got a chance, but I mean,
like that's a guy who I thought maybe that would be one of the pleasant things about this year.
And it still could be. We'll see. I mean, Evangelista, I thought Evangelista was horrific last night for the first 2 periods. And then all of a sudden he scores a goal and ends up with a primary assist. And it's like, okay, well, I guess good for you in the 3rd period there, but I thought he was really bad before that. So
any of that helps.
Yeah. So like they need to get him going. It just feels like they're going to be so hit or miss on offense all year long. It's hard to win that way. And at some point in this league, even with as patient as they are, I think you run out of options at some point, and the coach pays the price for it. Like, if you told me right now that's how this thing's going to end, I'd probably say, yep, that's probably where I'd come down on it at the end of this year.
Texter asking if the Titans and Predators have the worst rosters in their respective leagues. I don't think that's true of the Predators.
No, they do not.
I think
they have the worst.
True of the Titans.
I think they have the worst center depth. I don't think they have the worst overall roster.
That's the thing. There's enough talent overall that they should not be bad.
Yeah, I don't think they've got enough talent at this stage of their career where they're all going to be good, right? Like, I think we've kind of learned that at this point about this specific group. And again, like, they've gotten better defensively, but we are talking about Roman Josi not playing right now, and Brady Shea at times this year has still been a little bit of an adventure. I think he's been better than he was to start last year, but it's not been great. Justin Barron, frankly, is bad. Like they keep waiting for him to turn into something, and what I've seen from him to this point, he's just bad. So I don't know if that's going to change at any point. So there's just a lot. Nick Hague, I don't think he's been very good so far. He's played like 3 games, so I'm not willing to make any judgments on him. Perbix is good. Dick
There you
Perbix is
go.
good, baby.
Let's talk positive.
Yeah, he's good.
He is good.
So that's been good to see. It's just they got a lot. There's a lot of things with where they're at right now that have to go right. And it kind of feels like they've talked about that. Like it's like Marchessault's talked about it. Stamkos, we played the comments last week. Like they're all like, yeah, they keep saying there's a certain way we got to play to win games, which is basically code word for we got to defend our butt off and hope power play starts popping in a few goals. And that's how we win games.
It's the kind Canadian hockey way of saying we ass.
Yeah, maybe so. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. More of your thoughts to get to on the Predators. Paul Kuharsky will be with us shortly on the program. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this rainy Wednesday morning. A lot of thoughts on the Predators to get to. Speaking of the Predators, I got some tickets to give away. A pair of tickets to see the Preds take on the Calgary Flames coming up at Bridgestone Arena this Saturday. Puck drop at 2:30. Some beautiful afternoon hockey, which is my favorite. Caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Caller 3 will win a pair of tickets to see the Preds take on the Calgary Flames at Bridgestone Arena coming up this Saturday. Puck drop at 2:30. Joe, a couple of thoughts to get to. We'll go rapid fire on this. One texter says, Brunette's tempo offense was what excited me when he became the coach. Now it seems that they're switching back to the old defense and dumping ground game. I don't think that's Brunette's style. I think we need to go all out for a center somehow, some way, fart those draft picks, and go back to his up-tempo style. I think they've been looking for a center for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's a very difficult thing to find. Not very many people willing to give up centermen that they have. That's the whole problem there. So it's probably going to have to be drafted. So hopefully Brady.
And they did draft one.
They did draft one.
But
So
yeah,
we'll
the
see.
timelines are tough right now. Times and timelines.
One texter says, here's the deal. The NHL, as of today, the teams are speedy as lightning. Preds may be the slowest team in the NHL. It's not the coach. One texter says, I've always been a Preds fan. I'll still watch them when they're losing, but their biggest problem is they've struck out on drafting people. Please tell me who in their farm system is going to really make a difference. I mean, in the long term, that's the big question. And, sticking Brady Martin aside, because I think he will make a difference. We'll see when that happens. But beyond that, like, of the guys that are on the doorstep of being in the league right now, how many of those guys are making a big difference? That's the question.
Well,
Like, how many of your Kimmels, your Schaefers, your Molendykes, take your pick. They've got all these LaRue. They got all these guys that have either been first-round picks or have been traded and brought in. Edstrom, they traded and brought in, former first-round pick. I got all these guys in their system, which is good. How many of those guys are like legit top 6 threatening players? I don't know.
it just seems like the same story over and over again. And I think back to 2 years ago. If you told me 2 years ago with what we were starting to see with Evangelista, we'd be here now, I would have been a little bit surprised and certainly disappointed. But it feels like it happens over and over again. And Kemmel, there's been a lot of, and I'm not giving up on anybody, but I feel like at some point you keep seeing the same kind of story, which is pretty good player, good enough to be in the league, but not a top 6 forward. Not in this league. And I just feel like we keep seeing that over and over again. And so it's a huge question because some of them have to hit, but I feel like I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, I'll believe when I see it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a lot of those guys I just rattled off can be good players, which you need good players.
Sure.
How many of them can be legitimate night by night in the NHL threats to score? Like, how many of those guys are 60-point guys, 70-point guys? I forget the 90, 100-point stuff because I don't think any of those guys are that. How many of those guys are 55, 65, 70-point players? You need a couple to be in that range. And do they have any of them that will be? Like, I thought Evangelista was going to be that guy. And who knows? Maybe he'll end up being that guy. I just don't see it. I think he's probably going to end up being like a, at maximum 20-goal, 45, 50-point player, which is fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But
sounds okay.
As an organization, you need more guys that are higher end threats offensively. And it feels like it's going to take a minute for them to get to that point. So then the question is, well, all right, how long is it going to take? How long does Andrew Burnett have in that process? And then how long does Barry Trotz have in all that process?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of Josh and Dixon. At what point is it Trotz's fault? There's a lot of that. Neil, Trotz is the issue with this team. The president hasn't been great. But that's the thing. What if and when you move on from Andrew Burnett, then then it's, I guess, officially, to what Trotz is on the clock. I mean, yeah, look, it hasn't gone well. So I think it's totally fair to criticize him. I mean, look, I do, as much as I like to make fun of Stilly about this, I mean, I think some of his draft choices and how those turn out are, those are going to be critical. If that doesn't work out and they continue basically the same pattern of not really being able to find difference making forwards, even if Brady Martin, I mean, I think he'll end up being a really good player, but like you need more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Surin kid that they drafted in the first round a couple years ago, but like, how close is he to being an NHL player? I have no idea. Like he's in the KHL right now, so it could be a couple more years before you see him. That's the thing where you're going back to the root of this whole thing. Right now, you got two timelines that are competing with each other that don't really match up. You got the veterans that are on the tail end of it, and the young guys that are not quite ready yet, and that's kind of leading to where they're at right now.
Yeah, neither timeline. Again, the other one is we'll see, but it's just the history. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't make me that optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. They play again tomorrow on the road, and then they're back at home again this weekend, Saturday. Got a game on Monday at home. Got more games next week at home, and then they're off to Sweden after that. So we'll see how all that goes. Paul Kuharsky from PaulKuharsky.com is with us here on the program. PK, good morning. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. I am well. I am a little discouraged. I did not hear the volume, I will admit, on Channel 4 News this morning. But without volume, here's what I imagine. Like Jamaica, absolutely devastated by Category 5 hurricane, and it's raining in Nashville.
Yeah, it is.
What?
Yeah.
By the way, there's a little bit of rain here.
There's somewhat proportional difficulties. The roofs have been blown off every building there, but we're also dealing with, some trauma here
some water.
and that the pavement is wet.
PK, keeping the priorities straight coming in today. We got a lot of things to
First
get
world
into
problems.
with PK. The Rex rant with Joe Rexrode, unless PK hijacks it, is also coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Do you know your elbow from your ass?
You can't stay away from shellfish, meat, and meat.
I hate the V-necks. I hate how they feel.
If my zipper's up, I feel like I'm in style.
Our latest criminal has made it in the building.
And we'll run from the law while we do it.
All I can see is his face as he grunts. "Arr!"
Which one of you has gout?
Multiple times. You've talked about marrying your cousin. So.
And I'm going to egg your house. Egg your house.
It is time for the Rex Rant, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. So is Kuharsky still in the rant? Is that what we determined?
No. You take it from here. Here's the rant. I'm done with the tush push. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. It's annoying as hell. And it's like, the Eagles just line up and three guys go false start, and then they punch people in the face and they bite people, and no one gives a crap. This was like, I guess that's fine. First down, Eagles. It should. We're gonna have to deal with it the rest of this year. I feel stupid that last year I was like, well, I don't know. It's kind of it's annoying as hell, and everybody does it. Just hold on, you get your chance, and it just needs to be illegal from now on. And football is not going to be worse off for it. We have rules changes all the time. I mean, my God, 10 years ago, catching the football, you had to complete the process, sit there, hold it, kiss the ball, sign it, give it to the ref, and then it completed the process of a catch. I mean, we change stupid crap all the time in this league, and the tush push needs to die a brutal death this offseason.
So the controversy this weekend is the officials completely mangle forward progress on the tush push. And so the conclusion is, we have to take that play away.
Well, the
officials couldn't handle it, so we have to take it away.
This is not a 1 week thing. I mean, it's just
okay. Well, not for you, but for America. Everybody's like, all right, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. The officials messed it up, so we have to get rid of it.
But they keep doing
officiate it correctly. Well, correct the officiating.
No.
Spend the offseason with all of your officials and teach them how to officiate a legal play. You can't take the play away.
Make the play illegal.
Officiated.
No, you make the play illegal.
My
entire life,
Eagles have to be punished.
You're way older than me, but I've been around a while. And in my world in football, and if you're on the offense and your teammate has the ball, you're not allowed to push or pull that person. You can block for him. That's fine. No, come on, Johnny. Here, jump on my back. Let's run to the end zone together. No, that's stupid. That's exactly what this is.
You can't decide.
You can't push people or pull people.
4 years
yes,
after
you can.
a team's been doing it.
You can. Yes, you can. You can fix something.
I know they can do whatever they want, but it's been fine for a long time. And now you say, well, we're going to keep campaigning and keep campaigning.
Some people have been bitching the whole time.
Why do we want it out? Because we don't like it. We don't like it. This team does it successfully, and we don't like it, so we're going to legislate it out of the game.
Well, you said that during the break it's going to hurt one team. That's not true. Lots of teams have a version of tush push, and it mostly works for them. So, I mean, the Eagles are obviously – dude, they ran out 3 straight. It's like, get this crap out
My
of here.
biggest problem with it, and this is – I don't know that you make rule changes because of this, although I think we've seen them make rule changes in sports because of this. It brings the game to just an absolute screeching halt, especially when you do it multiple plays in a row. It's just –
like the Rams game.
And then you got in that situation, and I think it was the NFC title game last year.
Yes.
Where instead of running the tush push – the Commanders decided, well, we're going to try like mad to just time this up properly. And they jumped off sides 4 plays in a row, including diving over the top of the pile. And it just brings the game to an absolute screeching halt every time it happens.
Find a way to counter. When are you going to counter it? Somebody comes up with something good.
By making it illegal because it's stupid.
Counter it.
Which was the team that
counter this?
I can't remember who it was. It was at Minnesota that basically dove down and built a wall, kind of just started diving on top of each other.
I like that
to try to stop it.
The thing is, one guy laying there doesn't do anything. You have to have 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So you got to work faster and get more guys on the ground.
Maybe Taco Fall is the answer.
Maybe
could
so.
be.
We did
Get
hear
a
about
big
that
fat
earlier.
guy to lay down.
Just get Taco Fall.
7'6".
7'6" in there and just reach in and stop.
No, I mean seriously, who it's
I don't not enjoy it.
well, you're sick. There's something wrong with
guess
you,
so.
man.
A lot of people on the text line. It's funny. We talked about this during the break. Bringing up the Giannis travel from last night. He's like, forget
Yeah.
the
Oh, that's
touch
what I
push.
said.
How about Giannis traveling across half
No,
state of
Joe's fine with
Wisconsin?
it. Joe's fine with this. He enjoys that watching that. Let's just do away with dribbling. That's okay. I mean, dribbling doesn't exist. But
For the record, I believe they should have called a travel.
Oh,
on
it's
that
good.
play. Thank you.
He
I
did take, I
believe
believe,
that they
6
should have
steps.
called a
what, are
travel.
we going to take away the rule?
Take away what?
I mean, they
rule?
don't enforce the dribbling rule. So should we take it away?
No, that's a terrible analogy. That's idiotic. I'm embarrassed that you said it that way. No, just enforce the rule. That's been forever. This tush push crap. Some people have been complaining the whole time. And again, at first to me, I was like, oh, just this team's got it figured out.
I'm saying
Again,
the same thing. Apply the rules correctly. The big objection on Sunday, not for you, but for most people, was that it was officiated poorly. So,
But like
in
3
both
weeks ago.
instances, officiated correctly.
Yeah, it's enough.
Well,
It's
I
enough.
would also say this. Yes, this past Sunday, this wasn't the particular issue. There have been multiple times where you go back and look at the tush push that the Eagles run, and it's a freaking false start. Like they false start on this thing all the time,
Right?
And it never gets called.
Why can't they
Exactly.
see it?
I don't know.
Why can't they see it?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Like, I don't know why you can't call the
I don't
false
know, but
start.
they'd never call it. And
Well, they also have assistants from upstairs. So say they false started. Why can't the people upstairs see it?
Yeah, like Alex said, 80 of the runners illegal, and that is the prevailing belief I've always had in football. I mean, when USC beat Notre Dame, my God, the controversy about that, the Bush push.
Oh, yeah.
And it just that should be the case.
We're talking
Block
about
for
junior
someone.
football. We're talking about big boy football. It's different.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, just like big boy football, like the team you cover plays. Yeah, well, that's some real good football. We should probably talk about that at some point, huh?
Yeah, we're going to. We got a lot of things to get into with PK.
Someone says PK's batting 100 this morning. I think he's
100's
batting
not good.
0.
God, 100's terrible.
Yeah, I think, do you mean 1,000?
I batted about
I
100.
I think that's about right. He's batting about 100.
Yeah.
He's way under the Mendoza line.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We got a lot to get into with PK. The NFL trade deadline is coming up. We'll get into our quarterback discussion from earlier in the show as well. All that and more. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us for the next hour, talking all things Titans, brought to you by Jimmy Kelly's Steakhouse and Seal Master. You can check out his great work at paulkuharsky.com. PK, the NFL trade deadline coming up next week. Titans have already been relatively active this year. Brownlee to the Jets. And now Roger McCreary traded from the Titans to the LA Rams. And we've talked with you about McCreary, the position that he plays. And now it seems pretty obvious and very likely that they're going to have to find 3 cornerbacks this offseason and go out there and play next year. What did you make of the McCreary move? Not coming to a deal with the Titans. He gets traded, and now you're looking at corner. And I think everybody expects them to move on from Snead at the end of this year, and you're talking about probably a completely different corner room next year.
Yeah, a lot of change coming. We've talked about maybe not creating more holes in the roster, but McCreary's projected to make, I think, 8 to 10, and clearly they don't think he's worth 8 to 10. The thing is, somebody is on the market probably going to pay him that. So when you get to the free agent market, there's a lot of overpaying. Titans have a lot of money. They're probably going to overpay for somebody else's guy. Now, it might be a guy that they like more. Hopefully it's a guy that they like more than Roger McCreary. And people, revamp positions. It would be different if, it was a singular position revamp, though. They're not going to have to do as dramatic a revamp of any other position, but, maybe edge. They'd have to re-sign their own guys. I think Draymond's a 1 year, Ward's a 1 year. You'd like to bump those guys down notches. But they've got a lot of roster work to do. And, people fool themselves. They want to be draft centered, but there's only so much they can do in the draft. And so they're going to be super, super active in free agency. Doesn't have to be all big tickets, 1 or 2 big tickets. And then you're filling in with role players, and you're looking for guys like Sebastian Joseph Day. I keep using as the example because I think they've gotten good value out of him. They like him as a culture guy, and you have to find a bunch of guys like him.
So, yay or nay on this move?
I think yay. I mean, they didn't get great value, but it's 9 games of Roger McCreary. 9 games of Roger McCreary going to make a difference for you now? No. I think they probably could have gotten a later pick. There was a gap kind of in their draft, and they moved up and closed that gap in their draft order. So it's not insignificant.
I don't care about him the rest of the year. I guess I said this earlier this week, but I guess my biggest problem here is the tandem of McCreary out and Jarvis Brownlee, who just made the game-winning play for the Jets, out. So that's 2 guys who, obviously there's a difference. McCreary, you have to pay him now at this point.
The Brownlee thing's a bigger issue.
But
based on how he's played.
So then we see what's going. And no surprise, I think, with Snead. I mean, I'm not surprised that this is last. He's done. But now you have so many other issues, and now you're completely wiping the slate clean on this position. Yeah. I mean, that's my problem with it. I think McCreary is a solid player, not a great player, but he's had some. I think he's been more good than bad here. I think he's a good guy in the locker room.
Yeah, he's been a good player.
A very nice statement. And, thanking the Struck family.
Could have used a little more spell checking.
Thank you to the Strucks.
But still, that's classy. Like, he's a classy kid. Don't you want more guy? I see people didn't like, Brownlee attitude, whatever. But my McCreary, there's none of that, right? And so I don't know. Look, I think the question that you may have more insight. You have some insight on this. If McCreary was out on this place, / was like, I'm going to free agency, I'm going to get them. Then that's one thing. Like if you didn't feel confident in your ability to sign him, then you can't really quibble with this. But if that's not the case and you're just making this move because you think it's the right move, I just don't like totally vacating that position group when you have so many others to worry about.
Yeah, I don't love it from that standpoint either. But I think what the market price is going to be for him, they were not going to be willing to go there.
But like you said, now they're going to pay someone else who is going to get
well,
overpaid.
I think they're going to pay their one that. They'll pay one corner that. They'll draft a high corner, and then a McCreary guy will be cheap, or Marcus Harris or something like that. I think Marcus Harris has started to work more at nickel. I don't think he's worked enough at nickel, probably. So we'll see where they go here. It could be Womack. It could be Harris. It's going to be one of those two guys, and they're going to have a big audition period here, and hopefully one of the two of them emerges as a McCreary, a young McCreary type nickel, and could conceivably take that job. And maybe they're a little less corner desperate than we think going into next year. I'll say this about McCreary, who I liked also. They've got to stop, and I think Borgonzi will. Roger McCreary was a second-round draft pick, and he was a nickel. They do this thing where they draft role players too high. Tajay Spears drafted too high. They draft Darrington Evans was a change-up back drafted in the 3rd round. If you're a change-up back, if you're a nickel corner, you need to be 4th, 5th, 6th round, not 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah, except, unless you're as good as they thought those guys were.
Which none
in
of them
some
were.
cases, it's just that they just weren't nearly as good.
Even
right?
McCreary, a McCreary talent, you should be able to
McCreary's, you're right.
Round.
I think McCreary's an overdraft. You're right. I mean, those backs, if Darren Evans was what he was sold to be, fine. He just wasn't even close to that, right?
See, I don't think so. If you're not if you're 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, I need you to be a starter.
Well, even
right. But that's what they thought he was.
Well, I don't think
Even
they thought
Sweat.
Evans was a starter. I think they thought Evans was a change-up. Sweat,
Yeah.
a one-dimensional guy who you hope becomes a pass rusher,
Right.
is not a top
38th overall.
3-round guy to me. And, there are a lot of question marks about him now. Brownlee, by the way, gets a lot of shout-outs for taking a shot at the Titans. I don't know if you guys heard this, but he lingered. He was the last guy out of the locker room. He asked what time it is. They told him, and he said, I could still get home to watch the Titans lose. This guy's been a part of one win this season. He wasn't on the Titans for Arizona. He was on the Jets for a win against the Bengals. He's won one game this year, and he's all fired up about going to watch the Titans lose. Like he got traded to some big winning team, and now he's puffing out his chest.
Here come the wins, baby.
I mean, this is a guy who was cold in 40 degrees in Washington. Like, I like that Brownlee's brash and all of that, but I don't think he should get huge props for saying that when he's been a part of how many losses this year. He gets to go home and watch his buddies lose. Cool, man.
Big dub.
Big dub. You lose a lot too, man. So this time next week when we're talking, the NFL trade deadline will have come and gone. It's November the 4th. Next Tuesday is the deadline. Look, you look at the roster, and there ain't a whole lot that the Titans have left to trade at this point that's going to bring back any value whatsoever. So I guess from now until the end of the deadline, what do you have your eye on? What do you think could be in the pipeline for the Titans?
I'm going to go with Arden Key. If Arden Key can get healthy this week and play on Sunday, as opposed to what a lot of people think, like that Arden Key is being held out for his massive trade value, which is nonsense. I get a lot of this on Twitter. When the inactives came out on Sunday, I go, preserving him to be traded.
We got to protect Arden.
No.
We got to keep Arden on.
Yeah.
This guy, he's bringing back a haul, everybody.
Draymond Jones is a better trade chip because Draymond Jones has been playing well, but I don't know that they could deal Draymond Jones right now because they have nobody. I mean, I do think one of my guys.
Denard Wilson's loving this. Yeah, just take all my guys. A great time. He seems to be really enjoying this.
Was pretty good yesterday when he said, "Yeah, I'll admit it's difficult when your 3 starting cornerbacks are gone."
I'll say it.
And what was
just like Jarvis in the cold? I'll be the one to say it.
And what was this quote?
I'll have the courage.
He was pretty complimentary on Jalen Armour Davis. And I stopped taping his complimentary answer, where he said, he's working on his confidence. He's gradually getting better and everything. And then I stopped recording. And then he said, he's one of the horses that we've got, and we've got to keep riding. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I'm adding that in text.
I watched the video, and I'm like, you didn't say that on the video.
Yeah, he said it right after I stopped recording. So I added that in text to all of my video send-outs, which was quite a line, I thought, a very impressive line.
He is a player that I have to coach.
He's on the team, so I guess I have to play him.
Yeah, but I think Draymond Jones they probably keep. I think Key they would deal given a chance. But I don't think there's going to be a flurry of activity here because I don't think the Titans have a lot of guys that are super appealing. I mean, deal Pollard if you could. I don't think you're going to have an opportunity. Who else?
Well,
Ridley.
let's bring up Simmons.
I think Ridley's probably eliminated a chance for him to go somewhere by being hurt.
I know Simmons is hurt, so obviously we'll see what that looks like this week.
I just think they've decided that they're keeping Simmons.
Okay, so
period.
I know that's publicly been what's been thrown out there. I guess my question would end up being like, what if somebody calls with a first-round pick? Does that change if you're the Titans? I will say I did think
first and what?
First and what? And then, a first sounds appealing and a first is appealing, but the kind of teams that are going to trade for him now are drafting in the high 20s, right? So, I mean, that's a good pick, but it's not as influential a pick as you'd like. And I think they think, look, we've got one good player. We're going down to the foundation here, but not to the sub foundation.
I will say when I saw that Ed Oliver tore his biceps this week, I was like, if you're Buffalo, you might want to call.
I do think that's what they're doing here. One of the guys in my all-22 said, we thought they were taking it down to the studs, and they're really taking it down to the foundation. And I do think, given their druthers, that's what they would do. But I think some of these guys aren't going to, somebody wants Chig. I don't know that there's a big market for Chig or for Key.
No, I mean, it's going to be, you're going to get more.
You'd like to get a straight pick,
picks.
a straight pick, though. I mean, increasing your pick by a round for these guys, I don't know that it's worth it.
There is one question that we've been asked a couple of times that might fire PK up that I want to get to coming up next. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky is with us on the program talking all things Tennessee Titans. PK, we've been asked at a couple of different places about this, so let's get your thoughts on it. Ben for Vols on YouTube saying, can we address the absolute stupidity of Brinker/Borgonzi extending Titan assistant coaches after a 3-win season? And you have put together nice. You have put together a piece at paulkuharsky.com explaining this and the offsets that could ease some of this. What have you put together after the initial report by Easton Freeze?
Look, they deserve to get bashed for a lot of things. This is not one. If they didn't extend the assistants, then when it came to light, you'd say, well, Amy doesn't behave like an NFL owner. She treats her people like garbage. Generally, coaches do not operate as lame ducks in the NFL, and you don't want them to, because if all of the position assistants were operating this year at the start with Callahan in year 2 of his 5-year deal, if all of his position assistants were in the last year of their original 2-year deals, they're all worried about their future and starting to look for their next jobs and stuff. This is at the beginning, before you know things are going badly. Everybody's thinking, what's my next job? What's my next job? Which is not
they still should have been concerned.
Right. But it's not generally how you want your staff to feel.
The 2-year deal is what you're saying, standard operating procedure.
And then tacking a year on is standard operating procedure if that coach is still in place. And they're not going to swallow all of that money, because what happens is that coach who gets fired at the end of this season with the extended year on his thing goes and gets a job with another NFL team or another college team, and the deal is offset. So whatever he gets paid by his new team that has to pay him fair market value under NFL rules, well, whatever salary he gets from the team that hires him, if the Cardinals hire him, that money that the Cardinals are paying him, the Titans don't have to pay. Meanwhile, whoever the Titans hires some fired coaches from other places, and the Titans pay him and offset his salary that was due from wherever he was. So all the money gets moved around, and Amy Adams Strunk isn't going to be out any great sum of money unless, if 1 or 2 of those coaches don't get hired or decide, hey, I'm going to take the Titans' money for this year. Then you're talking about a couple $100,000, maybe $1 million between 2 of them. But it's not some great, huge loss of money or some big gaffe by the Titans. It's the way the business works generally. And if you want the Titans to be able to hire a reasonable staff for the next guy, they have to know that after 2 years, they'll get a +1 extension from them. If they didn't, those staff guys who have a choice between here and somewhere else are going to go, I'm not coming to the Titans. They don't give you an extension after 2 years.
So let me translate what you just told us. So Easton Freeze beat you on a story and you just got to crap all over it. Is that what we're doing here? Is that what we're doing here?
What I'm going to tell you is he got a good story on the front end and didn't look into the offset portion, which is a big portion of the complete story.
This again goes back to,
I say good job, Easton.
This again goes back to what I said at the time last year, which was maybe just go ahead and fire the coach at the end of last year when you're moving on from the GM and avoid all this stuff. That'd be good. Get everything on the new timeline.
Completely relevant. Now
listen, in all seriousness, hold on. In all seriousness, like what you said makes sense. I would like to know, because you obviously, like in the college, it's always like, why did you extend the coach? Well, because you're talking to recruits, and people get like those, and college contracts are obviously very absurd, many of them. But I do wonder, are there owners around this league who still do it's okay, you're on the last year of your deal as assistants, and that's just how it is?
I think it's pretty infrequent.
I would read a story. I'd love to, like that would be interesting. Yeah. Like I could see like the Bengals being example of a team that maybe
Bengals would be the first team that we would think of that wouldn't
do it. And also, you guys are our scouts in the offseason. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is,
clean up the building.
So the coordinators got 3 years when they started. So Wilson, and Holtz didn't get extensions because they already had 3 years. And this is me presuming, considering that they got 3 years, I would think that Fossil got 3 years, and that it makes perfect sense that they would encourage the new coach to retain Fossil, who, is in the first year of what I presume is a 3-year deal.
Let's do something we haven't gotten the chance to do very often so far this year. A positive development for the Tennessee Titans. Been impressed with DK since he switched over to receiver. Obviously, we've seen what he can do in the return game. I'm not going to go crazy and say that, Chim DK is going to be wide receiver 1 for the Titans moving forward, but he's been productive. He's looked explosive. What have you made from him in the first 2 games where he's had a primary role at wide receiver?
His average depth of target before the firing was ridiculous. It was like at the line of scrimmage. They kept throwing him these screens, which they couldn't break anything away from. This is the single best development under Mike McCoy, who's not had very many good developments. Cam has played better, but they're punting from across midfield constantly. DK getting the ball downfield with a chance to use his speed, which the Titans don't have much of anywhere, has been great. He's been better than Io Manor since the change. And I'd call it the single best development, separate of the quarterback, the single best development for the team since the change. Hey, let's let our fast guy run fast before he gets the ball, and with the chance to run fast after he gets the ball. What a amazing idea.
So I know you said earlier, and you're probably right, that Ridley being hurt is a problem when it comes to the trading deadline. I do wonder, just from the Titans' perspective, because we talked this year about, that's one move maybe you don't make just because, the whole point of this season is to try to help Cam Ward, right? Why would you take that guy away? I do. After watching the last game, I'm like, not that Ridley couldn't also help if you threw him into that mix, but I don't know, you might be okay.
No, I don't think you have to have Ridley here. The Ridley complications are, I think some people are just scared of Ridley overall because of his background. I think some people don't love Ridley because he does stuff sometimes that makes it, he's very streaky. It took him a hell of a long time to develop a relationship with Levis. He then developed a good relationship with Cam during camp, but then it took him 4 games or whatever to get going. So you're saying, well, if I bring in that guy, how long is it going to take him to develop a relationship with my quarterback? I like the way he runs routes and I like his speed, but I think they're also, and I'm not going to know them off the top of my head, but in a lot of these lists, there are some receivers that are maybe more attractive than Ridley available. And he's hurt. So there's a lot that goes into the mix. Plus, I think you'd want the Titans to pick up some of the salary, which they probably would if they could get, something decent in return.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More coming up with PK next. We will get into our quarterback conversation as it relates to Cam Ward and the situation that he's in with PK coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We can confirm Kuharsky did not stay up and watch all 18 innings of the baseball game the other night.
I actually saw 0 innings of that game. I did watch some last night. I like the result better.
Yes. Go Blue Jays. See how it goes the rest of the way.
Go Jays.
We had this conversation earlier. At this point around the league, it's a trend that is hard to ignore. Doesn't mean it's indicative of the way things will go in the future in Cam Ward's specific case. But we are looking at, Baker Mayfield drafted by a bad organization, ends up going elsewhere, winds his way through to Tampa Bay, and he's having an MVP type of year. Darnold drafted by a bad organization. You can throw Geno Smith in there too. And they wind their way into differing degrees of successful quarterback play in the aftermath of that. And now we just saw firsthand the latest example of that with Daniel Jones. Now, I don't think the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns or the New York Jets, although they do have their moments where they kind of feel that way. But he ends up in Indianapolis. He's having a great year. And I know that Jonathan Taylor is the straw that stirs the drink up there for that offense. But, we went through the numbers. He's completing 71% of his passes. He's thrown for 2,000 yards, 8.5 an attempt, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been really, really good. So I guess in the backdrop of all that, I'm looking at Cam Ward, and we're 8 games in. Everything's still on the table for Cam Ward. He could be the Titans quarterback for the next 15 years. He could be out of the league. I have no idea how things are going to go with Cam Ward. But I do look at all this, and I look at the Titans situation. It's like, man, all these guys that have left their first stops were just in most cases in awful situations, and they've ended up elsewhere and are thriving. And I'm worried to death that the Titans, and I was worried about this before they drafted him, the Titans, the situation that they're in, the roster, now having changed the coach, he's going to be on his 3rd play caller by the time they hire their new head coach. I'm just worried that is a situation that is just dooming him from the start. How do you view that, and how do you factor in everything we've seen at the quarterback position, teams giving up on these quarterbacks quicker than ever before, and then them resurfacing elsewhere a couple years later and looking like good players?
It certainly is a new era where these bad teams who mismanage everything and mismanage quarterbacks are serving as the minor leagues for the better teams. And then the better teams get into these quarterbacks get into better team situation with some stability. You look at Daniel Jones. He's running a good system very well. He's not that much better of a quarterback. He's just being asked to do things that he can do, surrounded by better talent and operating under a much better coach. So the Titans better find themselves a good coach who can do these things here instead of Cam Ward ending up doing these things somewhere else. And I certainly think he's got a chance to be a good quarterback, maybe not great, but a good quarterback in the league. Is it going to be here? Is it going to be somewhere else? I think, I remain firm that I think Will Levis has a chance to be a starting quarterback in the league out of a similar situation. Now, he needs to reemerge healthy and probably go somewhere and sit and climb his way up and maybe get a chance somewhere because somebody gets hurt or something like that. I think the timing of the surgery and all of that set him back in terms of his visibility and potential to play and all of that. But I think it could happen for him too. He's not as good, is not as skilled as Cam Ward, but the league needs quarterbacks. And, and the smart teams know, a guy's skill set and how they could coach somebody up. It highlights more than ever the urgency for the Titans to nail this coaching hire. And I understand Titans fans not having much faith on their ability to do it based on the last 2 hires they've made, or 2 of the last 3 hires they've made in the big positions of power.
I'd never thought of it that way. So basically the Titans, Browns, Jets, they're like the AAA in the NFL. Is that?
It's looking increasing that way. Well, the Jets have produced 2 quality quarterback. Geno Smith's not playing great now. He's in others, but he's in another minor league team now. Put the Raiders there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of these quarterback stories. Some of them come from decent teams, right? But
Who?
So who are the main ones who are out
Darnold?
there as second backs?
Darnold,
Geno,
Baker,
Geno,
Daniel Jones.
Daniel
Daniel
Jones.
Yeah, Giants.
That's pretty bad.
All the Giants. Yeah.
Now we're waiting
Yeah.
on Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
So Zach Wilson's in
Another
that
Jets.
limbo
Another
period.
Jet. I mean,
Jets
again,
are really just slinging them out. The assembly line.
there are different levels of this. What we talked about earlier, like for example, Tannehill, right? Like Tannehill, so organization.
He just went, it went south for him. And
yeah.
the organization.
And look,
it's a fine organization at that stage.
There are also quarterbacks that I think get drafted high in bad organizations that end up going elsewhere and aren't really that good. I mean, Justin Fields got drafted by a bad organization.
And
He
he's
went to
not
the
a good
Steelers, not very good. And now he's
Trubisky.
with the Jets, and he's not very good.
Trubisky.
Except every once in a while, he's the greatest quarterback of all time for like one day.
Right.
Trubisky was a guy that people expected to follow this course. Pickett maybe had a chance.
A lot of them
he's
just
a
aren't
backup scenario.
A lot of them just aren't good enough. I don't even know that I agree with you on Levis. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he has a chance. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him reemerge somewhere and get some starts somewhere. But but Cam, I'm with you. I mean, I think he has a chance to be a good quarterback. The coaching hire and the talent around him as ASAP. But hey, don't worry, because now you have to. I mean, this is my thing. It's like, but you also have to replace the entire corner group, and you also have to an edge, and you
find a pass rusher for the first time.
I mean, it's just but I got I think you have to prioritize helping him, right?
Absolutely. I mean, receiver becomes more and more important. It's just such a dilemma because you need an edge desperately, and certainly a better defense helps him. But you look around at these young quarterbacks and how many teams have prioritized getting him a premier receiver. And he needs a premier receiver. And it also lets these guys slot. Look, in a lot of ways, the Femi pick was a number 2 edge at best, right? And Isle Manor and DK look encouraging, but they're not number 1 receivers. And it'd be wonderful if you got a guy better than Ridley to be that number 1. Ridley's gone after this year. You get a premier guy and let these guys fall in line underneath him. They've got some parts. They need people over top of these parts. Premier guys at corner, at edge, at receiver.
Well, and how quickly can they do it? I mean, the idea, we talked about this earlier, of them going from where they are right now with their roster to like competing for the playoffs or certainly being a threat in the AFC. I mean, it feels like they're miles.
I know. I need to look at this more closely, though, because people talk like it's a 3-year project. I mean, it feels like a 2-year project, but people we look at these stats all the time of how many teams annually go from out of the playoffs to into the playoffs, and how there's a team almost every year that goes from worst to first. I'm not saying the Titans are going to have this golden touch. It's very hard to imagine it. But like Washington last year, it was Adam Peters' first year. He's a guy, they had a really good draft. Jaden Daniels came in and played really well. And these bit part guys that we're talking about, these mid-tier free agents, these Sebastian Joseph Days, if you will, they hit home runs on a bunch of them.
Right.
That's the year the Titans need.
It was a great quick fix, and then the quarterback was fantastic.
And now he's hurt this year, and things have taken a big step back. Yep. But why can't the Titans find that year? And the biggest answer to that is because we don't believe that they'll hire the right coach, because we don't have faith in ownership, which trickles down to everybody. People will throw Brinker in there, right? And because they're the Titans is the number 1 answer.
So the example you've written about it, we talked about it earlier this week. The example of the 10 years ago thing, because they were dog doo doo,
right?
They were buns, 5-27 2 years, 1 off season. They're right there to win the division. But you need something so for this team, you need. So Lawan everybody's like, what the hell's up with Lawan? And all of a sudden he becomes, he's a damn good player in 16. That's what you need Latham to do next. Some of this is going to hinge on some of these guys that they're going to have next year, taking huge steps.
Yeah.
Skoronski did it this year, right? It looks like so. I mean, I think that's because the offensive line, you can talk about the number 1 receiver. I agree with you, but
You need something
offensive line and running back.
Yeah.
I'm going to pound the table on the
well, they
running
need
back
a running
thing,
back,
man.
but that's where they need to find like a 4th or 5th round running back that comes in and is just good. And it happens all over the league. Needs to happen here. And then something like Jackson Slater, who was a guy you draft for 2026 to replace Zeitler and be good. Just be good. Come in.
Is Cushenberry going to be all right?
Cushenberry's not been this is a position where I have some sympathy. Like they went and signed clearly the best free agent center, and he's just not been good. Now you can say, well, coming off the Achilles, he hasn't gotten back to himself. But the Cushenberry we saw for the first 8 games last year when he was healthy in his first year over wasn't anything special.
Let's welcome in Trey to the program on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Great, buddy.
Hey, I want to ask y'all, from what the Titans has been doing as far as the product that they've been putting on the field is purely pathetic. And, everybody knows that, all the fans know that, all the beat writers know that, all the national pundits know that. But I want to ask y'all, realistically, if you look at this schedule, what game can we win? Because we're desperate here for something to win a football game. And y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, they play some of the other worst teams in the league.
Looking forward to the showdown with the Saints later.
So they've got a big Saints showdown on December 28th, second to last game of the season. They're at Cleveland on December 7th.
Which Myles Garrett may set an NFL sack record in that game.
Yeah, but he can sack the quarterback 10 times and they can lose. It's been shown to happen. He just sacked the quarterback 5 times and they lost handily.
Yep.
Not that the Titans are New England. I mean, those are the 2 big ones. They've got 2 games with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's just coming off a bye. They've been up and down. Divisional games like that sometimes, I wouldn't bet on it, but
they ain't winning another game.
You've got them twice. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win another.
Is that a guarantee?
Yeah.
A lock.
Put it down. A literal miracle for them to win the game they've already won.
His shoe-in of the week.
Yeah. They're not winning another game. 615.
Will Trey watch another game? Is what I want to know.
That's a good question. 615-737-1025, our phone number. One more segment with PK coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, our phone number. A little bit of life. I stress a little bit of life in the running game on Sunday against Indianapolis. I think we need to see Tyjae Spears start to take the bulk of the carries away from Tony Pollard at this point. Agree or disagree?
Agree. I'd be happy to see 60-40. I will be posting shortly at paulkuharsky.com Drew Beatty's film analysis of Spears. And so it'll highlight just how much potential he's got going. I mean, he's not a lead back by any means, but he could be a lead back for this team given their circumstances right now. Pollard's just got no juice.
None.
I mean, he runs his max runs are 11 yards, generally speaking.
And looks to me that's a big change from last year. Right? He was good.
Yeah,
it was pretty good last year.
And I think
that's how it goes with running back, man.
I don't think the run blocking is particularly terrible. I mean, Spears is doing better with it, and I just think he's doing that falling off a cliff thing.
Do you guys getting Harbaugh this week? Getting a little Harbaugh teleconference today? No, nothing from them.
What are we going to ask him that's going to be that?
I'm just wondering.
Connor Stallions.
Yeah, exactly.
Is he on the call?
Those conference calls only happen in special circumstances when you request it, and none of us.
No one
have done
no one wants the
Leave
hardest
Jim alone this week.
Well, you just save it for Vrabes, huh?
Vrabes was a special circumstance, yeah. Harbaugh didn't coach here. I don't know if you know that.
I feel like it used to be more common that the opposing coach was kind of a weekly thing, wasn't it?
It used to be a weekly thing every week. Yeah.
Back when
it was a weekly thing.
Back when the Titans were an actual NFL team.
No,
people cared about the games.
Back before everything was on the internet everywhere. There was a weekly conference call where you talk to the opponents.
Now we got all these.
And now you have to make a special
aggregators.
And what about you complaining?
Now I don't quote the other team about anything anywhere.
Yeah.
People don't really care that much, I don't think. They can go read stuff from the opposing writers if they want to.
Or watch the video.
Yeah. Well, I like nice interviews and conversations. I think that makes for better coverage.
Mine with Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
I
know you didn't want to draft Deshaun.
Who's this?
What?
Who's this? Kuhar.
It's Kuharsky.
Ku, not Ka.
Yeah.
Big mistake people make.
Also, you bitched
I'm huge at Boston College. Yeah.
You bitched at Mike McCoy too about the post game pressers, huh? But he's saying he's just taking orders.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, why organizationally would they want us to go ask players about the punt decision before the coach has spoken about it?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, but no. But the Callahan thing was you had 3 players left in the locker room, right? So at least you're not getting guys skating out before you can talk to them.
Just to have the coach go first. It works everywhere else in the league.
Promptly go first.
Yeah, you're always texting me like, where is he? What's going to put him on the clock? Let's go. Come on. I got to watch this press conference, steal all your material, and get back to bed.
Hey, would you put up some videos from the locker room, PK? Come on, the internet's begging for them.
Yeah.
We got some audio to get to.
When you write that stuff, do you say told reporters? How do you couch it when you?
I don't. What do I write?
Things? I don't know. You're very anxious for the press conferences. Based on my text.
Well, we have a radio show. We talk about it every day. So, yeah, I like to listen to see what he said. I'm like, can we get going here? There's actually games I want to watch in the NFL right now. Good God.
You take your notes. You can't watch it a little later?
I like to watch it live. Yeah. Also, I'm mad for you. I'm supporting you. I think it's ridiculous how long you made people wait.
I don't get it. I'm not a fan of Mike McCoy. It's not about that.
I hope
tell us why.
Well,
he's like a cliche machine. He's offered the tradition of a interim coach is that you loosen and soften, and he comes in and he tightens and restricts.
Tighten up.
It makes no sense. No sense.
Well, I hope that the decision to punt the ball like he did on Sunday automatically eliminates him from consideration for being the Titans head coach.
I think he might think about punting from the 35.
It's only 7-yard difference.
If we can get this real high, we can get it down to the 6.
I've lost confidence in Joey Sly, and 2.5 yards. If it was 2 yards, yeah, but 2.5 seems a little long. But Johnny, get on here. We're gonna blast it.
In all seriousness, what about Cam? Cam barking at him.
Good.
I say
Cam.
thumbs up.
Oh, I have no problem. Yeah.
You can't hear a lot of things on the. Did you see that, Mike? No, you can't hear a lot of things down there. You don't see a lot of things. My quarterback shaming me. I couldn't.
My rookie quarterback screaming at me like, "What is wrong with you, bro?"
I couldn't see that. The visor kind of covers the ears a little bit. Couldn't quite make it out.
PK, thank you for being with us as always, sir.
Don't block the box and be sure to lock your locks.
Next man up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.